I can already imagine that a lot of people are going to be curious why I picked Ryuji and not Joker from Persona 5. The answer is quite simple. Joker is impossible to build. You can sort of get away with Ryuji by making some like small tweaks here and there and that, but a Persona user is very hard to build in Pathfinder Second Edition because while yes, you have Summoner, which is a lot like a Persona user in a way, um, the way they fight doesn't reflect how a Summoner fights. So I didn't even actually go for Summoner or a Summoner dedication on Ryuji, though that would have been an option. If you are going to do a Summoner for Ryuji, I'd recommend Beast, because Beast fits for his persona when it evolves into Satan Taisi. But with that said, Skull. Skull indeed. With that said, Ryuji, Warhammer, Blunderbuss, because this is a kind of club and a shotgun. And I picked Fighter, because Ryuji, at his heart, is a fighter. Like, he is a punchy boy. He has a little bit of magic, but we'll get to that. And here is where I will talk about ability scores and optional flaws. So, first of all, human. Duh. Second, rebel. This is a regional background, and it's not technically 100% lore accurate for how it's supposed to be described, but he is a rebel. He's a rebellious soul, which is just sort of fitting for him, so I decided to pick that instead of one of the other ones. I'm going to sort of be going into a little bit more complex character options than with Puss in Boots here, because there's a little bit more leeway that has to be given, so, you know, is what it is. And Fighter. Now, with set abilities, I use this override character creation ability scores thing here in order to ignore these, but I did set them to what they would be. But I did put in optional flaws. So he has a -1 to his intelligence and a -1 to his wisdom. Because, yeah. In exchange for a +1 to his dexterity or charisma. I can't remember which I did up here, but either way, the end result is a +4 in strength, +2 in dexterity, +3 constitution, +2 charisma, and then -1s in both intelligence and wisdom. Because Ryuji is not a smart boy, but he's a very kind boy, and a lot of people love him. So, here we go. Level 1! Level 1. So skill training, he doesn't have a lot of skill training because he is -1 on intelligence, but we give him stealth because he is a phantom thief, intimidation because he is the muscle of the phantom thieves, and obviously he starts with athletics, lore regional. This is another reason I picked rebel, because regional, I went with Tokyo, basically, as conceptually lore Tokyo. He knows about Tokyo and society. He understands society more than he understands other things, anyway. Class skill obviously goes into athletics, because he's a very strong boy. Versatile heritage to pick up fleet. Now, I understand a lot of people might put toughness here, but I picked fleet because Ryuji was a track runner, so he is faster. Like, at level 1, before anything else, he is faster. He is a running boy, so he gets fleet. Yeah, exactly, Justry. Ancestry feats-wise, natural ambition in order to pick up power attack. Yeah, exactly. And a class feat, sudden charge, because he is a very fast boy and he hits really hard. Power attack isn't a particularly good feat in my opinion, but it does fit Ryuji's style quite a lot, so I decided to pick that up. Obviously, he gets Streetwise for free, and he has Attack of Opportunity, both of which are just given from Rebel background and from being a fighter in the first place. He gets Shield Block, but Ryuji doesn't use a shield. But that's level 1. For armor, I gave him hide armor because it's like a medium leather type thing, and what he wears has like a little bit of metal pauldrons like here, and like some nice thick leather and like that sort of thing, and a nice necktie. So I figured hide made for the most sense in terms of what he did for armor. Joker would be using regular leather because it looks a lot lighter and that sort of thing. Power is in the name, which is why we gave it to Ryuji. Now, level 2. Level 2, we take Intimidating Strike, because he's the brawler of the group. He hits hard, he scares things, it's great. A little bit of skill training here because, yeah, deception in nature, but that is because of the next thing, sorcerer dedication. Now, sorcerer dedication is so he can pick up a little bit of that persona magic that he has, and Ryuji Ryuji does have magic, but it's not very strong. So that's why I decided to make him an archetype caster, and I needed something that gave either primal or arcane. I went with primal because primal has some buffs in it too, and like magic weapon and magic fang. And Ryuji has Tarukaja, buffing attack. He has attack buffs, he has charge, and he has lightning. Lightning is on arcane and primal, and those attack buffs are only on primal and divine. So we went with Fae in order to represent basically the origin of the Monkey King, which is Satan Taisi. It works. I do think there's slightly better thematic options, but they don't give you the right spells. And I care more about getting the right spells than I do getting the perfect theming. Because if I was getting the perfect theming, I would probably pick Demon or Anger Spirit. But both of those they don't give you access to lightning spells, and I thought that was kind of important. With that said, the spells we take for Sorcerer are either lightning and buffing themed, things like Magic Weapon, and Sudden Bolt. Sudden Bolt is a second level spell. It is uncommon, so once again ask your GM, but it's basically a single target lightning bolt. Very powerful, a lot of fun, one of my favorite spells, and from what I understand, some of my players' favorite spell as well. Or at least favorite low-level spell. We also pick up Titan Wrestler because this is Ryuji. Of course he's gonna, like, fight the biggest things, because that's just what he does. Sudden Bolt, Sudden Bolt, Sudden Bolt, indeed. Moving on to level 3, because that's all for level 2. And again, you could have picked Summoner Dedication here and went with Beast. Beast would have been my other pick, but Beast gives you less access to... Like, you get less spells going Summoner than Sorcerer. And summoning your Eidolon doesn't really help much, though there are some options with it if you wanted to do that. I would basically make it a Beast and have it be a Gorilla, essentially, but Satan Taisi, the Monkey King. And then pick up, like, Electric Arc for the, like, lightning bit of it, right? You don't get very many spells, so I went with Sorcerer to be able to have a little bit more spell access. I have a huge bias towards Sorcerer as well, my favorite class. But I did want to explain the Summoner idea, because it is technically more thematic in how it looks, but not in how it fights. Anyway, moving on to level 3. Level 3 is quite simple. A skill increase for Athletics, and we get Bravery, which is a fighter thing, where they just get bonuses against for will saves against fear effects. And they also just reduce all frightened conditions by 1, which makes sense. Ryuji is a brave boy. And will saves being the worst save because of the -1 wisdom, this does help a lot. We also pick up Toughness now because he is also very durable. He's like the toughest default member of the Phantom Thieves, without considering Joker being able to cheat. So Toughness is still very applicable here. Not much else to say about level 3. Moving on to level 4. Level 4 would pick up Knockdown because critical hits knock down the foe. I just thought that was apt. There's improved knockdown and stuff later on, but I didn't end up picking that up just because I wanted to sort of diversify my options a little more, but improved knockdown is, of course, the main way to follow that up. We also pick up basic sorcerer spellcasting here, so that we can get the first and second level spells, so we can pick up Magic Weapon and Sudden Bolt. I didn't actually input the spells in here, by the way, but just keep that in mind. That's the idea behind what I'm putting up here. Finally, for this, we get Rapid Mantle. Rapid Mantle lets you, when you grab an edge, just immediately pull yourself up. Now, clearly, Ryuji doesn't have this, like, very well. He's not very good at this in terms of the actual game, because there's plenty of times where he's hanging from a ledge and he just doesn't immediately pull himself up. But also, Rapid Mantle is just very good. It lets you grab an edge with Athletics instead of a Reflex save, which fits his style when he gets thrown off of something. Moving on to level 5, because that's the last thing for level 4. Haughty Obstinacy, which I think every Phantom Thief needs to take. Because it's basically, you can't tell me what to do. Defeat. Your powerful ego makes it harder for others to order you around. When you make a success on a saving throw against mental effects, you get a critical success instead. Basically, when somebody tries to hit you with like a fear effect, a charm effect, or anything like that, and you get a regular success, you get a critical success. So you just like step up a stage. Now, Bravery already does that for fear effects, but Haughty Obstinacy does it for everything else. So that's for like Charm, Fascination, and whatever. We also pick Weapon Mastery Club, because that is what Warhammer is under, over there. I always point the wrong way, don't worry about it. Warhammer. Now, Warhammers are in the club group, but also, and I'll get to this later when I pick up other things, Ryuji kind of just uses any blunt implement to hit people with. Mace, pipe, hammer, he would probably use a chair if he could. Oh, yeah, if you're interested in Warhammer Tabletop, yeah, I play a lot. I'm practicing for an Age of Sigmar tournament right now. Anyway, that's all for there. Weapon Mastery is really good. That means your proficiency master rank with your specified weapon group. Actually, Hammer might be Warhammer, but it doesn't matter. The point is we picked Club because Club is there. I think there... Yeah, there is Hammer. Okay. So, Hammer or Club both work. I like Club because it fits the club thing a little bit better with the iron pipe. But I would probably switch Warhammer to something else with that in mind. It doesn't really matter, though. They're both fun, and fighters can use anything effectively. Moving on to level 6. Level 6, we have Swipe. Swipe lets you make one attack at 2 targets. So basically, when you're next to something, you make one attack and you do one hit roll. I think it might only be one. Yes. You make one attack roll and compare the result to 2 things that are next to each other. And you can hit twice. So there you go. It only counts as one attack. Well, I think it might count as 2, but the point is you use the same multiple attack penalty for both. Because it's only one attack. Yeah, it's great stuff. Basic Bloodline spell is just to pick up the Fey spell, which doesn't really matter. I just didn't really have much else to pick at this level because it was just there and it was free. We also get Powerful Leap because there is one scene in Persona 5 on a boat where Ryuji makes a really far jump. Yeah, Powerful Leap. Moving on to level 7. Fast Recovery, because in that same scene, he gets up from having been exploded, don't worry about it, and shows up later, and he seems fine. And then he gets beat up a lot, and then he's fine the next day. Fast Recovery. We also get a skill increase in Athletics again, getting us up to Master. Battlefield Surveyor and Weapon Specialization. Weapon Specialization, extra damage on weapons, and Battlefield Surveyor is better rolls on initiative with Perception, because fighters don't get increase in Perception, but they get an effective increase, which is nice. Moving on to level 8. Level 8, we actually pick up something pretty interesting. Guardian's Deflection. Guardian's Deflection is when he has when you have a hand free, which Ryuji is normally standing there with one of his hands free when he's in the battle, right? And an attack comes in against an ally. You can give that ally a +2 bonus to their armor using Guardian's Deflection, as if you had just like raised a shield for them, essentially. You basically just like push into it or try and shove away and that sort of thing. And I thought this was very fitting for Ryuji, especially again at level 8. Because of the thing where other party members will take attacks for Joker. And so Guardian's Deflection felt very, very in theme for Ryuji. We also pick up Weapon Improviser Dedication, so now we can use anything, everything, and with no penalty. So basically, I picked this up because now Weapon Improviser Dedication means that when you're just standing around and you don't have a weapon, Ryuji can hit you with whatever he finds laying around. A chair, a stool, a cup, a random iron pipe he found, anything. And I felt that was very, very necessary eventually, so we got it here. We also got Quick Climb because Quick Climb. He's got a chair! A steel chair! Moving on to level 9. Level 9, we get a skill increase, which we put into Society, because he does know a little bit about Society at this point. And all those rotten adults. We also pick up Blind Fight using Combat Flexibility. Combat Flexibility is a little weird, because Combat Flexibility actually just lets you take any 8th level or lower fighter feat at the start of any day. So this can be changed for whatever you need on any particular day. Very good fighter ability. I picked Blind Fight, because Blind Fight is just a good generic thing to do. And And we also take group aid for our ancestry feat here, because this lets Ryuji help multiple people at once. He's a very helpful boy. He does his best to help his friends. So, yeah. And Juggernaut is better fortitude saves up here. Nothing much else. And finally, moving on to level 10, I took Disruptive Stance, Surprise Strike, and Catfall. Now, Ryuji doesn't have a ton of acrobatics. He's not very acrobatic, but he can jump down a decent bit and not take a lot of damage. So he is okay at jumping off things. He's not amazing at it. He's never going to be a legendary acrobat, but he can at least fall without hurting himself. Disruptive Stance is just very good. It's an anti-magic stance, and Ryuji generally is the person who's hitting people in the face when they're using magic, because he just hits hard. Disruptive Stance is just really good, and there wasn't a ton of really good skill or class feats for this particular level, but Disruptive Stance is just so good, it's worth taking, even if it's not 100% in theme. I'd say it is, because Ryuji definitely punches mages in the face, because that's just his job, because they'll generally, you know, do that sort of thing. We also got Surprise Strike, where, and Surprise Strike was sort of a abstraction on the idea of when he has a follow-up attack on behind Joker, which isn't really how it works, but that was the idea. That was the concept. Surprise Strike lets you basically grab something off of like a nearby table and hit somebody in the face with it, which is a lot of fun, and it's very cool in-game. But it's not really a Persona thing. It's just more of a thematic thing. Important to note, level 10, we also put an increase into Wisdom here. Now, the other, I kind of skipped over the previous one because it was just Dex, Charisma, Constitution, and Strength, because all those made sense. This one, we actually don't put a point into Dex, we put a point into Wisdom. Because at this point, at level 10 in Ryuji's journey, he started to learn, he started to understand more about the world and the people and that sort of thing. And he's actually maturing as a person. And I like using leveling up as a sort of reflection of that. So as he eventually becomes more aware of the world around him, he might not get any more intelligent, but he is more understanding and more aware. He's still not great, but he's trying. And that's Ryuji, all the way up to level 10. Like I said, if you want to see these sorts of things done all the way up to level 20, let me know, and I will do that. And if you have any suggestions for characters that you'd like to see built in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, also let me know. That's pretty much it. Have a nice day.